Hello everyone. My name is Prasun Deb and I am working as a senior manager and also holding the position of assistant CISO in a Fortune 500 energy company. In today's presentation, we will discuss the implementation of deep and dark web monitoring with SOAR integration. Before we start the presentation, disclaimer obviously that the presentation is based on the presenter's experience and is not affiliated with any employer or professional organizations that the presenter is a member of. In today's agenda, we will follow the following: the global cybersecurity trends and challenges, definition of the security threat intelligence for deep and dark web monitoring, the mandatory features, case studies to address the challenge, integration of threat intelligence feed with SOAR automation for a large enterprise, benefits obtained, and the key takeaways. So first, let us see the global cybersecurity trends and challenges. So this is a study which has been done by the 2024 Cyber Threat Defense Report by Cyber Edge Group. So they have done a survey across 1,700 different IT professionals spanning across 19 countries and covering almost various sectors. So if we see the cyber threat concerns, the major concern what from the survey it has come up that the organizations worry about the malware, phishing attacks, credential abuse attacks, ransomware, DDoS attacks, and the APTs and targeted attacks. These are the most common as well as the most concern or pain areas of the cyber threat. Moving ahead. So from the same list of survey, the barriers to establishing effective defenses. So again, when this study was done, it was found out that the most critical problem is the low security awareness among the employees. This is the most common problem across the global organizations face. And it is more important or it becomes more risky when the organization is a big, large in number, like they have around 10,000, 20,000 of employees. Then the second part is too much data to analyze. Like in organizations, they deploy a lot of security solutions and products and services in hybrid model, cloud model, on-prem model, and they all generate lots of data. So the point is, it is very much difficult to analyze the data. Then poor integration. We procure a lot of solutions, we take a lot of services, but if they do not talk with each other, they do not integrate with each other, the problem lies within that the information cannot be carved out. Then insufficient automation. In today's world, data is keep on coming. If we do not use automation, we will be always way behind. So insufficient automation is one of them. Lack of contextual information. It is flooded with a lot of data everywhere. What is junk data? What is false positive? Which is an effective data? So a lot of information. It's very important that we filter out the useful information out of the huge mammoth information base, right? And then too many false positives. So these are the main barriers which lead to a very poor or effective defenses because we don't have the visibility or the security posture. So moving ahead, so why the security threat intelligence is important? So as per the definition of the Gartner, security threat intel, it helps the organizations to understand and prepare their own unique threat landscape and bolster their prevention and analytics capabilities. Such capabilities can also help them to improve their other operational efforts, such as the threat detection, incident response, threat hunting, and threat exposure management. So if we see this definition, it is very much linked with the previous two studies which we have seen. Okay. So when an organization look for a threat intel solution, what are the major features or the mandatory features they should look forward to, right? This is again, the source is from the Gartner. So first of all, the tool or solution or the services, they must or they should show the IOCs, indicators of the compromise, or the TTPs, tactics, techniques, and procedures. Then the platform should support the configuration of alerting thresholds. Why it is very important? Because as we will see in the coming slides, that lot of information is there available. We must understand what to pick, what not to pick, so that we make an effective and informed decision. Then comes machine to machine integrations, either push or pull. So this is very, very important. As a matter of fact, we need to bring in the automation. Without automation or with manual intervention, it is simply not possible, because every day thousands and thousands of data is being generated. We need to find out which is the data where action is to be taken upon, right? Then out of the box enrichments to IOCs. This is very, very important, right? So when the tool or the platform, when it is having all those IOCs. So what are IOCs? Those are the compromise indicators of compromises, like say file hashes which are malicious in nature, the IP addresses which are coming from the maybe command and control or botnet, or those IP addresses, and behaviors as well, right? And then DGA, domain generative DNS domains, right? So they are all IOCs. Now, when we stitch together or when we enhance or we enrich those IOCs, the information becomes very useful for an end consumer and organization for us to ingest and process the same. Then very important fact is the interactive user portal or dashboard, because when lot of information comes up, so it needs drilling down one by one layer. Like there, as we will see, there are so many fields, so many modules available. Which module to go inside? After, when you go inside the module, what are those events? There are lots of events. Of those events, which are critical incidents? Out of those incidents, which are my priority incidents which I should look after? So an interactive portal or dashboard with alerting and such features, very, very important. And then obviously the IOC scoring or risk rating. It finally helps us to prioritize which incidents the organization should take, which are the risky, which are high risk, low risk, medium risk, so that we can take a informed decision. Going forward, so again, from that same trend of study done by cyber threat. So if we see this, how organizations are using the threat intel, what are the major use cases, right? So as per the study, if we see the graph percentage, 55.4% of the organization, they use security threat intel to improve their ability to detect IOAs and IOCs. Okay, so they ingest those IOAs and IOCs into the perimeter layer, or maybe in the data center layer, to enhance their reactive action. Okay, then the next part is the reduce exposure to attack surface. 49% they use them. So what is attack surface? Those are the digital assets which are exposed. For example, maybe unsecured, your HTTP access is open, or unsecured port is open, maybe a telnet port is open. So the attack surface, these tools, they have the mechanism to go and do a search of your attack surface and find out those information, so that action can be taken upon. Then 46% they use it for finding the fake websites. This is a very common use case, where the service provider, they should have those features like takedown services, right? So when an organization, some phishing campaign or some fake websites are identified, they use your brand name, brand logo, which are not genuine. So these services can be availed for taking them down. Then identify risks related with third parties and supply chains, right? So if we have your ecosystem of third party chains or third party vendors, you know who are they, what is their domain. Even we can configure the attack the monitoring surface in the deep and dark web to check whether any such risks are available with the third parties. Then 44% use them to understand the TTPs, and 38.8% they use to find out evidence of data breach or the stolen credentials on the dark web. So if we can see this, the 38.8% they only use the dark web services to find out the stolen credentials. So there must be some pain points, right? Why this percentage of is very low. So we will understand that in the coming slides. So the case study, it covers the challenges, right? Where we have just now seen that the credential validation from the dark web is only 38.8%. So in the on the left hand side, you can see that from the Gartner Peer Insights, it is a screen grab taken. CISO of an insurance company. So what they are saying that, see, as an organization you take a dark web, but what do you do with the data? Lot of data it comes, right? So like in the highlighted section, you have found out those there are a lot of employee passwords are available in the dark web. They are being sold, they are being used by the malicious attackers or malicious with malicious intent. But the point is, how do we verify what is a junk data, what is the genuine data where action needs to be done? Okay, so in today's case study, we will see the use cases, how to implement, and then how to make an effective use of the dark web monitoring. So we will check the digital asset monitoring. We will check the prioritized use case deployment. We will check the refining of the search criteria. Then we will check the security integration. And finally, we will check the implementation of a SOAR playbooks for the validation. Going forward, the first important step as a company or as an organization one has to do is to map your digital asset into that platform. Okay, the digital assets may have your watchwords or keywords, it may have your brand logos, your domains, your IP addresses, your VIP email IDs, your official communication channels like your Facebook or say Twitter, which are official. Okay, and then your those GitHub repositories or the mobile applications. So the organization needs to map out the entire digital asset into the platform. Now, once that is done, it is very, very critical to, prioritize the use case deployment. That why are we using this platform? So there are mainly three broad use case criteria. One is the deep and dark web, another is the brand risk, and another is the data leak. So under deep and dark web, it comes your credential breaches, malware logs, dark web discussions. Under brand risk, fake URLs, phishing links, mobile apps, social media handles, social media discussions. And in the data leak, it contains the documents exposed or in your open object storages, your code repositories, compromised computers. So in today's use case, we will only see the most critical one, which has been studied, which is the credential breaches. Okay. Now, again, lot of information, lot of data are coming from the dark web. So it is very, very important that we take out only those meaningful information which makes sense for us to take upon. For example, if our organization is implementing a complex password policy, right? We know that any application will not grant access until a password complexity is met. So there is no use of taking all those junk data which does not have those password complexity or those which are very similar passwords. We can easily say those passwords will not work at all. So why to filter, why to ingest all those data? So let us create some filters. Another point, for example, if the organization has implemented a password expiration policy that a password gets expired after every moment of time, then periodically, then why to ingest all the older data, which does not make sense because logically all those passwords are expired, right? Then to find out your employees in the dark web. So if they are if you're in your organization, they're using a fixed pattern for the employee number, use that to filter out the data. Employee email ID, office PCs, laptops, if all have those pattern, just use that pattern and fetch out the information. Then the next step is the secured integration, right? So once digital assets are created, once you filter it out, then the solution should have integration features which will assist in your SOC operation, right? For example, let it integrate with the corporate communication channels like email, SMS, ticketing tools, project management tools, SOAR, so that the integrations are built up and the data has enough information to be acted upon, right? And for security reasons, it is very, very important that it has to be done with a very secured API key, and the key has to be rotated periodically. So many third-party solutions like a PAM or your other solutions can be used, HSM can be used to, store and protect those critical keys. Then the important part is the implementation of a SOAR playbook for the validation. So once we have done all those things, once we have identified the use cases, what needs to be done, it is very, very important that we build up the SOAR automation playbooks so that the action can be taken immediately and the response can be measured, right? Without response, without those data, it is very difficult to find out the effectiveness of the solution. Now, once we have those data, once we have filtered out those data, it is as a next step, it is very, very important to validate with your single source of truth, right? For example, your Active Directory or the Azure AD, where you can validate those compromised credentials, your email ID credentials or your compromised PCs, right? Even the URLs also, if they respond, like this may mainly comes with your attack surface management, right? Like if some page is open, some test server by mistake it's open. So if your that tool, that platform can find out, and if it gives a valid 200 response, those can be acted upon. This is a very small example of a SOAR flow diagram which shows the playbook. So when you make a playbook, so it has to grow in incremental in nature. First start with a small use case, then you expand the use case, integrate other features, and slowly you will find out that the playbook has become quite complex. But if you make it in a modular fashion, then it is very easy to manage. So in this flow chart, if you see what has been done in a large enterprise, where around 20,000 employee data are available in the dark web, right? So when the playbook is triggered, we get the data from the dark web. After doing all those filtration, we just validate whether that particular user ID or email ID is in what nature. If it is an email ID, then we get that email ID and then we try to fetch from the Active Directory if there is any employee number or SAM account number which is unique in nature in the Active Directory. If that user ID is found, then we validate with the Active Directory with the compromised credential which is available in the dark web. Okay, and if that result comes as a positive, okay, then we do not store that data at all because those are confidential data, very important data, not to be stored or not to be temporary storage to be created, because it might lead to some maybe data leak. So on the runtime, we delete that context of the data user, and then the outcome of this module goes to another module where a ticket is raised. And after a ticket is raised, there are a lot of series of steps where the user get a mail notification, how to reset your passwords, from where the compromised credential has been discovered, and then the actionable steps. Okay. So in this activity, what the benefits has been obtained is in the exercise for a period of 7 months, 1 million data from dark web was ingested. And after doing validated or after doing the proper filtering of the required information, As per our study, 18,000 was the data which required validation. And when that data was checked via the SOAR with the Active Directory, finally we found out that there are only 218 confirmed credential leak. So it shows the security posture and health posture of an organization, and also gives us a very actionable insights, like those 218 credential breach, 52 unique employees were identified. Okay, and when detailed investigation was done, the stealer malwares were detected on those endpoints. On further study or investigation, only those personal laptops were infected, not the corporate PCs, which again gives us a good sense of protection or good sense of healthy posture that the any organization has, if those of desktop or office enterprise PCs are not detected or discovered in the dark web, right? The data which we shared, only 1% of such PCs of the corporate network were then in the dark web. And when we found out, and when we tried to find out the RSA, sorry, I'm very sorry, RCA, root cause analysis. So we found issues like outdated OS patches, maybe the machine was out of the network, maybe the cable problem, LAN problem, or the antivirus engine was not updated. So it really helps us to find out and understand what are the actionable points. Okay, and finally, it helps in improving our cybersecurity hygiene programs by identifying all those employees. Right now, the key takeaways which can be taken from this presentation to any organization, right, how they can implement and go forward with some dark web intelligence with SOAR automation, is that only the main three steps. One, look for the mandatory features which we discussed, what the tool should support, and then it should have a wide integration so that it helps you to use case to build up various use cases, or ingest or egest your sticks and taxis. So many things are there, right? Then comes your implementation. During the implementation, try to onboard your digital assets, then filter out the noise. We have seen out of 1 million, only 18,000 data, they were candidate for assessment, not others. Then prioritize your use case deployment. Everything cannot be built up in a single day. So we need to prioritize the use cases. Then the final is automation. Without automation, not possible to mitigate all this threats, and those actionable steps which comes out needs to be measured. And once this is done, then go to the second use case, third use case, and until and unless you have a good visibility of your entire ecosystem, your exposure, so it will give the confidence. But with this, I hope I was able to share the insights and experience how a deep and dark web monitoring can be effectively implemented in some of the large enterprises by integrating with SOAR. Thank you everyone.